Alright, so previously I've done a video on the fighters that have had the best 2025, and this video is the complete opposite of that, and it's for fighters that need to win in 2026 because they've, not just in 2025 but just in general, had a massive down spiral of their career. This tier list is not, well, it's not really a tier list, it's just a list of the top 10 fighters. It's not going to include people like Rafael Sequeira or Ivo Arslan or Robert Valentin, who are on 4-fight losing streaks or literally like 0-4 in the UFC, 0-3 in the UFC. But they're not included because they was never really good in the first place, you know. They're not on like some Anderson Silva-esque downfall, you know, because there was never anywhere to fall down from. They're never really that high up in the UFC. And so I'm only going to be including fighters that were good and now are on a massive spiral downwards in their career. Firstly, I'm going to start off with Alexander Rakic. Now, the reason that he's not higher on this list is that I don't think, unlike with what people were saying, that he was really that good of a fighter in the first place. Because who has he actually beat? Yeah, he beat Anthony Smith and Thiago Santos. But apart from that, and they lost to Jones, I guess. They fought for the title. But apart from that, who else has he beat? Yeah, he arguably beat Volkan Oezdemir. That win's aging quite well, to be fair. He just knocked out Alonzo Menifield. But apart from that, who else? Who else? Because in his past 4 losses, yeah, he's been on a massive spiral, down spiral recently. His last 4 losses are against opponents that are just of far higher quality than him, like Jan Blachowicz, who in his last 5 fights arguably could have won every single one of them, like Yuri Prochazka, who's arguably the #1 contender right now, only lost to Alex Pereira. Also a potential #1 contender is Magomed Ankalaev, who, by the way, he was 1-1 against going into the 3rd round, and in that fight his corner, Alexander Rakic's corner, was like, oh nah mate, you're 2 rounds up. So Alexander Rakic was just coasting to a decision loss. And he could have arguably beat Magomed Ankalaev if he, won that 3rd round. And that's what it came down to. So, stupid corner advice. And it was good that he moved gyms. And he moved gyms to fight his last opponent that he lost to, which was Azamat Mazakhanov, who's literally undefeated in the UFC. So he's only he's only 10th in this list because even though he is in a massive down spiral in his career, he's lost 5 out of his last 6 fights. It is against really, really good opponents, except for Volkan Oezdemir, who he arguably beat. So yeah, he's on 10th on the list. But someone who hasn't lost to good opponents, but is still on a massive down spiral, coming in at number 9, is Marvin Vettori. Mate, Marvin Vettori has also lost 4 out of his last 5 fights, and not against as good of opponents like Bruno Ferreira, that's not the best. Jared Cannonier, he's like 42 now. Roman Dolidze. Brendan Allen, to be fair, he's doing a bit better now, but still, man. Obviously, Robert Whittaker is, you can't fault him for that. And previous to that, 2 fights before that, he lost to Izzy, who he rocked and almost beat. But still, man, Marvin Vettori, he's been losing to terrible fighters, and if he didn't have such a good chin, he would have been knocked out, man. He has arguably the best chin in the UFC. The only fighter that he's beat recently is Roman Dolidze, who he's then gone on to rematch in the stupidest fight of the night. Why did they make that the fight of the night? Main event. I don't understand why they did a rematch 2 fights later. They fought each other 2 fights ago. Why are they then making that the main card of a fight night? No one wants to see that rematch, bro. It's not like they're champions or anything. And so yeah, Marvin Vettori lost 4 out of his last 5. He's coming in at the number 9th spot. Coming in at the number 8th spot, fucking hell, is Marlon Chito Vera. Now, Chito used to be really good, ranked top 5, and to be fair, he's only really lost to top contenders like Corey Sandhagen, Sean O'Malley, Davison Figueiredo. But the way that he's losing, firstly, is kind of Marvin Vettori. If his chin wasn't amazing, and he would have got knocked out by Sean O'Malley, which they only booked, by the way, because he fluked him in the first time. But like his most recent loss against Ayman Sahabi, I mean, yeah, it was a split decision, but I think he clearly lost that. To be fair, you could now think about it, put Marvin Vettori at 8th and Cheeto at 9th. But from where Cheeto used to be in comparison to where Marvin Vettori used to be, Cheeto literally KO'd Dominic Cruz. Yeah, it was a late stage Dominic Cruz, but he also beat Frankie Edgar and Rob Font, and even Davy Grant, who literally is an amazing prospect, and until that Charles Jane loss, I think should have been ranked. So yeah, maybe put him at 9th and Marvin Vettori at 8th, but undoubtedly coming in front of them two at the 7th spot. Wait, is it at the 7th spot? Yes, at the 7th spot is Leon Rocky Edwards. Leon Edwards has had a massive downfall, man, and he needs to win in 2026. Not only has he lost his belt in 2024 to Bilal Muhammad, in 2025, he had his first submission loss to Sean Brady, who himself, Sean Brady, just got knocked out, which isn't a loss that's aging well or anything. But he's also just been knocked out by Carlos Prates after just hugging him and losing so much aura on the first round when he was just hugging his back. And Carlos Prates was just like, it was turned into a whole meme where Carlos Prates was like, oh, fuck's sake, this guy isn't doing any damage and he's just hugging my back like a gay boy. So yeah, he's lost so much hype, and I don't think he's ever getting the belt back, man. I love him. He's obviously from the UK. I've got to back him, but man, Leon Edwards, he needs to win, man, in 2026. He's falling from being a multi-defending UFC welterweight champion. Keep in mind, welterweight is probably the most stacked division right now, to now being submitted, finished, and out decisioned in his last 3 fights. That's all 3 methods of loss. How is he going to lose next? By disqualification? By failed drug test? He needs to win in 2026, man. Coming in at number 6 is also a former champion in Jamal Hill. Now, Jamal Hill, to be fair, I personally don't think was ever that good of a champion. I mean, I'm obviously not a professional fighter myself, but if you look at his footwork, I think he looks pretty rubbish, man. His footwork, always with overlapping his feet and his head movement, etc. Really, really not the best, man. He's such a punching bag, as present in his last loss to Khalil Roundtree. Brilliant performance by Roundtree, by the way, even though that was such a boring fight. That Azerbaijan card, man, that was absolutely shocking. He also got knocked out twice by Pereira. He said that he got caught by Pereira, but then proceeded to get knocked out by Yuri Prochazka as well. Yuri Prochazka, man, what a fun fighter. He's finished all but one of his wins. He's literally insane. And yeah, he's only on a 3-fight losing streak, but from beating Glover Teixeira and Johnny Walker, to be fair, Johnny Walker isn't that well of a win. I still think that he deserves the number 6 spot and he needs to win in 2026, especially with the amount of shit that he was talking. I think, yeah, you could probably put Leon Edwards in his space, but I think he needs to win even more than Leon Edwards, because Leon Edwards isn't as big of a shit talker. And so, yeah, coming in at the 5th spot is Gilbert Burns. I think that, wait, is this the 5th spot? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5th spot, top 5 now. Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns has had such a big fall off, man. I mean, he got knocked out by Kamaru Usman, but then he beat Stephen Thompson and did really well against Khamzat Chimaev, and then also beat, I think it was Neil Magny, and yeah, it was old Jorge Masvidal, but he was looking good, man. But in his last 4 fights, he's lost every single one of them. He's been knocked out twice and out decision twice, losing to Bilal, Jack, Sean Brady and Michael Morales. And yeah, they're top contenders, but he's looking old, man. How old is he now? 40, I think? 41? He's well too old, and he needs to win in 2026 because he's been losing 4 times in a row now. He's at the end of his career, and he's going on that Anderson Silva downfall. And yeah, what else can you say, man? Coming in at number 4, Israel Adesanya, another former champion. Going from such a high-level defending champion. I think he defended his championship like 5-6 times. Yeah, he lost to Jan Blachowicz when he tried to move up in between that, but still, he's doing amazing. Then he obviously had that feud with Alex Pereira, but now, after getting knocked out by Alex Pereira and then winning the belt back, mate, he has lost so many times. Sean Strickland, Dricus du Plessis, Amavov, getting knocked out, submitted, you name it. He has fallen from grace, man. He was arguably a top 10 GOAT of all time. And to be fair, there's still an argument that he's in the top 10, but in my opinion, I think he's only top 15 now. He has fallen from grace, man. He's like Anderson Silva, going from a multi-defending champion to getting all of his losses on his record, like being recent. It's not like he was losing beforehand. He was actually undefeated before he lost to Jan Blachowicz, and now he's losing all the time. I think he needs a win in 2026, man. So, yeah, that's the 4th spot. And for the 3rd spot, I think the next 3 fighters are so far ahead in needing a win in comparison to the previous 7 fighters. Coming in at number 3 is Calvin Kattar. Now, people say that Max Holloway changed Calvin Kattar. That was an insane performance. He got like 400 strikes or something ridiculous. But he actually beat Giga Chikadze after that. I think it's a mix of age and just not thinking he has it anymore in his last 5 fights, because he's lost all 5 of his last 5 fights to Josh Emmett, Arnold Allen, Aljo, Yusuf Salau and Steve Garcia. He's on such a big losing streak. He's lost 6 out of his last 7, 6-7. Such a cringe meme, man. And I think solely because, well, not only that he was a highly ranked contender. Previously, he'd beat like Jeremy Stevens, Dan Ige, all of that. But he was going from such a highly ranked contender to now being on a 5-fight losing streak. I think that warrants him to be top 3 to need a win. Because if he loses his next fight, you already know he's being cut, man. Even though he's more or less a fan favourite. Bless him, he's probably going to be cut. He's, 39, 40. I think he needs one more fight. And if not, he needs to hang up the gloves. Because he's just going to get cut. It's like, what's her name? Paddy the Baddies. Like, a girl. Not obviously girlfriend, but... that's Irish. That retired just before she was going to get cut. She was like, nah, I don't retire. I'm not going to get cut. I retire instead. She got armbarred by, I don't fucking know. You know what I'm on about. And if you don't, then fuck you. Anyway, number 2, we're moving on. I don't care. It's Patchy Mix. This guy coming into the UFC was insane, bro. He'd literally beat everyone. He had a 20-1 record, a 25-1 record. He only had 1 loss, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, to be fair, the win against Magomedov was only a split decision win, and he arguably could have lost that. By the way, the commissioners overturned it to a loss on Patrick Mitchell's record, which I don't agree with, because yeah, he tested positive for drugs, but he tested positive for literal weed. Like, it's not like he's taking Tren or something like that. It's like weed. So I don't agree with that. And I agree with Topology, who still has it down as a win instead of having it overturned to a loss. You don't overturn a win as a loss just because they failed. They've tested positive for a drug, let alone if that drug is literally weed. Maybe you overturn it for a no contest like they do with like Jones and stuff like that. You don't make it a loss. That is blatant Dagestani bias. But nonetheless, I still do have him at 2nd place because he's gone from such a highly touted prospect going into the UFC to losing to Mario Bautista, who himself has lost now to Umar Nurmagomedov, but also Jacob Wicklax. Who the hell is Jacob Wicklax, bro? Oh my God. From going from how good people were saying he was, beating Sergio Pettis, all of that bollocks, to now losing to Jacob Wicklax, who literally was making his debut in the UFC. My God, I think he needs a win, man, in 2026. Because, yeah, he isn't on a massive fighting losing streak, but from the position of where we used to think like how good he was to how good we think of him now, he has dramatically decreased. Our opinion of him, has dramatically decreased, and that is why I have him at the number 2 spot. But there is no beating the number 1 spot. It's Mr. Bam Bam himself, Tai Tuivasa. My God, he is on a 5-fight losing streak. Booked against Talison Teixeira, somehow hasn't been cut yet. And oh my days, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets cut, man, after his next fight, because he's going to get knocked out. Yeah, Talison Teixeira himself just got knocked out by Derek Lewis, but he's a good prospect, man. He was undefeated before losing to Derek Lewis. I think Talison Teixeira has been booked against Tai Tuivasa to make a name of him. Tai Tuivasa is only in the UFC because people like him, and he drinks alcohol at his shoe, doing shoeies and shit. Apart from that, what else does he bring? He hasn't had any good wins recently. Derek Lewis, maybe, but that was a fluke, man. He was arguably losing that fight before he got knocked out. And who else has he beat? Greg Hardy, the bloody NFL player, or is it NBA? I actually can't remember. I think it's NFL. But I don't care. He's shit at Greg Hardy, and apart from that, I can't even recognise any. Oh well, there's obviously Stefan Struve, the tallest guy in the UFC that he beat. But still, what I'm trying to say is he's beat no one really that good, and he is on such a bad losing streak now. You know, he's lost to Marcin Tybura. Needed to swallow my spit there, fucking hell. Jairzinho Rosenstrike, he got knocked out by Sergey Pavlovich, submitted by Ezekiel Choke. That was brilliant, by the way, by Alexander Volkov. Also knocked out by Cyril Gane. And to be fair, he almost beat Cyril Gane, but that was the start of his losing streak. I mean, in the past, he's also lost to Junior Dos Santos and Sergey Slivac, but man, he is on such a big losing streak. And yeah, he was never really that good, and it's literally heavyweight, so the skill at heavyweight isn't going to be amazing. Because he's had so many losses, I think 8 losses in the UFC now, and all of them are really recent. And he's probably also going to lose to Talison Teixeira. I think that he well and truly deserves the number 1 spot at the fighters of the top 10 fighters that need to win in 2026. My God, Tai Tuivasa, I do not know how you're still in the UFC, man. It is blatant privilege. They cut someone like him, yeah. They don't cut someone like him, yeah. But then they cut Martin Badai, also at heavyweight, or Jairzinho Rosenstrike, who literally beat him, or even people in other weight classes like Renat Fakadinov, who just knocked out Andreas Gustafsson in under a minute. Or Danny Barlow, who was an undefeated prospect, had 2 wins in the UFC. He was 2-2 in the UFC, and arguably beat his last opponent, taking him to a decision. And that was a fight of the night, man. It was an entertaining thing. So all those people getting cut, but then they're keeping Tai Tuivasa. It makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. Tai Tuivasa needs to win out of all the fighters on this list in his next fight against Talison Teixeira, but I just don't think it's going to happen, man. So yeah, that is the top 10 list of, well, I always say that, I always mess up that saying. This is the list of the top 10 fighters who need to win in 2026. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to stop waffling now. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Any videos that you want to see in the comments, let me know. And yeah, goodbye. Thank you for watching.